Good afternoon, Patriots. This is Praying Medic. This is my Q broadcast for Friday, March 8th. I'm glad you're able to join me and Denise, who is in the background measuring stuff. Hey, baby.
Hey,
We're live. No, we're not. We're being recorded. Q posts can be found on a number of different websites, qmap.pub, qanon.pub. And if you have an Android device and you'd like to get Q alerts on your phone, you can find those in the Play Store. They're not available for iOS. Hey, honey, you got a call.
all day long.
My theme for this broadcast is Lifelog equals Facebook. Q has been educating us for almost a year on the deception behind tech companies like Facebook, Google, and Twitter, which function as publicly acceptable fronts for the CIA's domestic and illegal spying operations. Q had this long post on March 6th. I've broken it into 5 parts. I'm just going to go through each section and kind of explain each part of it. Facebook returning to the news, Lifelog, DARPA in parentheses, ends, and Facebook begins. Lifelog, DARPA, team transfer to Facebook. What DARPA team members, past and present, work for Facebook? What divisions? Locate 3 public, 9 total, 6 are non-public. Building 8 exposed here, when? And then Q tells us that Building 8 was exposed on April 11 of 2018, last year, on the board. Think the scramble offline, scrub, post Xbox, PS, chat logs drop, MS shutdown, immediately post drop. When it was revealed that Peter Strzok, Lisa Page, Andrew McCabe, and a bunch of people in the Obama administration had been communicating covertly through Xbox chats. Xbox, the service went down for a day or two, and Q said it's because they were scrubbing the server of any incriminating data. So that's what that is about. And then Q is asking about DARPA. So DARPA is an acronym. It stands for Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency. Their mission is the development of strategic technology for the Defense Department. We know that Regina Dugan, she used to work for DARPA. She was actually the head of DARPA. She also worked for Google. She was recently hired by Facebook. That's one of the 3 public names that we know about. I don't know the other 2 public names. Q mentioned Facebook's Building 8 program was exposed last April. This is that drop from April. Anon on the board posted this screenshot from an article on Wired Magazine, Pentagon Kills Lifelog Project, and that was on February 4th of 2004. Interestingly enough, Facebook was launched the same day, February 4th, 2004. So the same day Facebook is launched, DARPA killed its Lifelog project, which was essentially trying to accomplish the same things Facebook does right now. Q responded at that time, the finder of this should apply to the NSA. So this is just a link to the Wired Magazine article. You can find that if you want. Continuing, this is part 2, Building 8 news release, restructuring Building 8 release. And this was a news article that came out in December of last year. It says that Facebook's Building 8 program was discontinued and their artificial intelligence, virtual reality programs are going to be restructured under different organizations. So Q has a link to an article here. The end, RIP, rest in peace, the end of Building 8 is false. The reorganization is true. China, 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 China. Open access, pay for play. Q has been telling us for a long time that Facebook moved its Building 8 operation to China. We'll talk about open access, pay for play in just a minute. Okay, here's the article that Q linked to. Building 8, brand is dead, but the big change seems to be Facebook moving its more headline-grabbing experiments further away from its nearly ready for production ideas. This article in TechCrunch says Facebook, Reality Labs, and Portal Group would be assuming most of the research responsibilities. And Q said, nope, Building 8 is actually still very much alive. Q wrote, open access, pay for play. Facebook's practice of granting unauthorized access to its user data is at the heart of a number of recent scandals. They have been granting access to a lot of different, like Microsoft and other companies, and that access has been unauthorized. There have been internal emails that have been discovered where Facebook staff talked about selling user data, although there isn't proof yet that they've actually done that. All right, continuing with Q. Laws which prevent CIA operations inside Homeland. The CIA is not allowed to do any domestic surveillance. That's not within their charter. They're actually only authorized to do foreign surveillance. Then Q continues, bulk data collection, NSA Homeland, bulk data collection, CIA Homeland. How does the CIA avoid the law trigger regarding umbrella spying with Homeland? And then Q explains how the CIA does domestic surveillance and not trigger those laws. They do it through Facebook, China, Building 8, Google, China, Project Dragonfly, which is a search engine that they're developing for China, Twitter, US leg track, Facebook track user GPS voice and text, Google track user GPS voice and text, Twitter track user GPS, PhonePad, microphone, algorithm, embed. CIA's 1947 charter permits foreign surveillance, but it prohibits domestic spying. Domestic surveillance here in the U.S. is done by the National Security Agency. The Patriot Act has weakened domestic surveillance restrictions and has created some loopholes where the CIA has basically exploited that and has begun spying or increased its spying on U.S. citizens. And as we know from recent scandals, CIA does tend to abuse its surveillance powers, spies on Senate and the House and politicians. All right, continuing, Q writes, all for marketing purposes as publicly disclosed. Probably not. Who has access to bulk track data? Who has access to bulk data? If NSA has the ability to absorb data stream in Utah, that's the Utah data center for the NSA, in-house tools, does the CIA also have that ability to collect data stream from funded networked offshoots, big tech? Obviously, yes. So Q is saying that in the same way that the NSA gathers bulk data, the CIA has figured out a way to do it by collecting it from big tech companies. Offshoots are necessary to avoid CIA breach of U.S. domestic law. Amazon server cloud contract. We know that Amazon signed a $600 million contract with the CIA to provide cloud-based server for their surveillance programs. And, well, Q has suggested for a long time that there's a reason why they chose Amazon, because Amazon is gathering a lot of our data, and they might be giving it to the CIA. Q continues here. Amazon server cloud route data 1 through 99 domestic. I think Q is suggesting there that Amazon is routing some of its own data that it has on its server cloud to the CIA for domestic surveillance. Then Q continues, CIA tasked with gathering and analyzing info on foreign governments and individuals, signals intelligence, covert. NSA tasked with gathering and analyzing info on a global scale, including domestic, signals intelligence, covert. What former U.S. president was CIA director? There's a link to an article, George Bush Saved the CIA. Think CIA, and then Brennan is in brackets. Authorized spy campaign, U.S. Senate under Hussein. Think CIA install campaign. U.S. House and Senate infiltration. And then part 1 of 9 is in brackets, Q. George H.W. Bush was a CIA director before becoming president. This article paints him as a heroic patriot who reformed the tarnished image of the agency and restored our ability to trust them or not. This was written after Bush died. Amy Boo 69 got a shout out from Q after posting a link to an article about Regina Dugan being hired by Facebook. There's the link. Q writes this. This is a comparison of Facebook and DARPA. Define Lifelog, DARPA in brackets. An ontology-based subsystem that captures, stores, and makes accessible the flow of one person's experience in and interactions with the world in order to support a broad spectrum of associates, assistants, and other system capabilities. The objective of the Lifelog concept was to be able to trace the threads of an individual's life in terms of events, states, and relationships. And it has the ability to take in all of a subject's experience from phone numbers dialed, email messages viewed, to every breath taken, every step made, and every place gone. Now, Q writes, define Facebook. The Facebook service can be accessed from devices with internet connectivity, such as personal computers, tablets, and smartphones. After registering, users can create a customized profile revealing information about themselves. Users can post text, photos, multimedia of their own devising, and share it with other users as friends. Users can use various embedded apps and receive notifications of their friends' activities. Users may join common interest groups. Compare and contrast. DARPA senior employees transferred to Facebook. DARPA terminates program February 4, 2004. Facebook founded February 4, 2004. DARPA equals Facebook Q. Logical thinking. Did DARPA complete and build and code taxpayer-funded Lifelog program? After completion, was there fear the public wouldn't accept the adoption if known it was Department of Defense and CIA backed? Yes, they did. That's actually one of the reasons given why the Department of Defense shuttered Lifelog was fears over privacy and government spying. Q writes, do you believe people would join a platform knowing it was under the control of the CIA and the federal government? No. How do you lure the masses into entering all their personal info and private messages, i.e. their Lifelog, into a new platform? Do you make it cool? How did Facebook supposedly start and launch? Ivy League only? I remember when Facebook first launched, you had to have a .edu address to be able to sign up for it. And it was considered the cool, hip, trendy thing if you were able to get on Facebook. And a lot of people couldn't, at least initially. Develop a trend and or following. How do you keep the project running without public taxpayer funds? DoD reported Lifelog was terminated to Congress and Senate oversight. Define black budget. Did Hollywood push? Do people follow the stars? Competitors systematically attacked MySpace to prevent competition. The largest collective social media platform in the world, Billions Log, is owned and operated covertly by the Central Intelligence Agency of the United States of America. The more you know. Q. The development of Facebook and the CIA by DARPA bears an eerie resemblance to the storyline of the Jason Bourne film about a social media company called Deep Dream. Q has referenced that in the past. I recently saw that film for the first time, and the similarities are pretty interesting. All right, got another long post from Q, continuing. Expand your thinking. If covertly operated, data is accessible to project designators. Would they attempt to prevent any type of government regulations from being imposed? I think the answer here is yes. If the government and the military and the CIA were behind Lifelog and Facebook, wouldn't they then prevent government regulations from being imposed? Wouldn't that be in their own best interest? Well, obviously it would. Expand your thinking further. Why was Mark Zuckerberg chosen as CEO, public figure, tasked to expand growth? Family tree of Mark Zuckerberg. Who is a wife of Mark Zuckerberg? Family tree of the wife. Why won't China allow Facebook? Situational awareness. Do they know it's an individual collection asset program being covertly operated by the CIA? I think they do. Do they know it's been expanded to tap into the microphone of any device for listening and bulk data collection? Do they know it's been expanded to tap into GPS router of the device for real-time tracking? Do they know it's been expanded to tap into the camera function of the device in order to record and view all target designators? Q. I think China probably knows all of that. Okay. Priscilla Chan is Mark Zuckerberg's wife. Her parents are Chinese nationals who actually came to the States as boat refugees. And that's really all the digging I did into the family tree. Q wrote 2 of 9 complete, Q. So we had 1 of 9 complete, now we have 2 of 9 complete. We're going to get 7 more messages from Q on this subject. Q then switches over to Google. In brackets we have DARPA, Google. Re-review past drops, major steps underway to challenge these control pockets, Q. So Q isn't giving us this information just to amuse us. He wants us to know that the president is taking measures to remove power from these pockets of control and return that power to we the people. Google got a lot of help early on with research grants from the CIA and NSA to help them develop bulk data collection programs. And that's the link that Q posted. All right, another long post. So here we go. People are pawns in their sick game of global domination. People are divided to prevent a rising of the people. People are divided and taught to fight themselves instead of the ruling class. Race versus race, religion versus religion, political versus political, class versus class, sex versus sex. When you are divided, you are weak. When you are weak, you have no power. When you have no power, you have no control. Stay strong, patriots. Stay united, not divided. You are what matters. You awake is their greatest fear. Q. Q calls out Edward Snowden. There's a link to an In-Q-Tel page there. A history of In-Q-Tel, basically they're a government organization that funds and finances startups of tech companies that have the ability to develop technology that can be used by the CIA or the military. Q writes, why did Snowden only engage and attack the NSA? If Snowden really cared about privacy and citizenship awareness, why didn't he expose the CIA's main programs? Snowden was privy to DARPA, In-Q-Tel, and NSA surveillance covert programs. Why did Snowden only focus on NSA? Where did Snowden work prior to NSA? So Snowden worked for the CIA initially, never exposed any of their programs. He then became a contractor for the NSA and only exposed the NSA's spy tools. Ask yourself a very simple question. Would you release, go live, to the public across the media all highly classified material, NSA, prior to getting to your end destination? Or would you logically travel to your end destination, then release it publicly? Was Russia the planned location? Why Russia? Why did China, Hong Kong, let him out of the country? Was there a red security alert put out to prevent passport travel across all nations? Why did China grant access to travel with the blockade in place? Why Russia? Russia, 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 Q. The CIA needs to convince us that there is a threat out there in the world that we need to be afraid of. The CIA has for decades used Russia as that villain. Russia was Snowden's original destination, but that wasn't disclosed publicly. The story was he went to Hong Kong, was going to fly, I think, to Ecuador, ended up going to Russia. The CIA helps Snowden get through Hong Kong and Russia when a global security hold on his passport has been placed. China assisted. CIA creates a story that Snowden got stranded in Russia, although I think Russia was the original destination. And then the CIA has abandoned Snowden. And Snowden is, Q has said, is in the process of being extradited. Anon posted this. Mark Zuckerberg announced a sudden decision to make Facebook a more privacy-focused platform. Interesting. There's a link to an article there. Q writes, trying to get ahead of something? What a coincidence. Zuckerberg knows heavy government regulation is coming if Facebook doesn't fold under the weight of corruption first or be bankrupted by class action lawsuits. And I don't know how to join any class action lawsuits. I do get questions on that from time to time, but I don't really know how to do that. Q posted a link to an article on the chive Something is Rotten in Denver Airport, 25 photos. You may want to look through these photos and observations. There's just some very bizarre stuff in this airport. Very strange history of the airport itself, when it was built, why it was built, how much it cost, went way over budget, took a lot longer to build. There's some very strange symbolism in the artwork in the airport. There is also a suggestion that there is a desire by whoever did this to create a new world order after the war, of course, with a much smaller population. And people have speculated that there may be some kind of an underground bunker underneath this airport because it took so long, it was way over budget. So that is the link that Q posted. Q posted this image of a boy saluting a flag, link to a YouTube video. Never in our history has a communications project such as this taken place. Return power back to the people. Truth, transparency, and equal justice under the law. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men and women are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men and women, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed, that whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it, and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles, and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. Prudence indeed will dictate that governments long established should not be changed for light and transient causes, and accordingly all experience has shown that mankind is more disposed to suffer while evils are sufferable than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty, to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it to our children in the bloodstream. It must be fought for, protected, and handed on for them to do the same. Quote by Ronald Reagan. United we stand, July 4th, 2019. Where we go one, we go all. Q. There is an event going on July 4th, 2019 in Washington, D.C. You might want to look for that and sign up for it. I don't have plans to go, but you may want to look into that if that's something that interests you. The link that Q posted is to the trailer for the White Squall movie. There's a lot of imagery and symbolism in that movie that relates to our movement. You might want to check it out. Our friend Michael Beatty got a shout out from Q. He posted this on Twitter. Listening to the Hannity radio show in my car now. Sean seems calm, confident, and at peace. He mentioned 3 different times, my sources are telling me all will be well and the justice is finally coming. It's coming. And Q posted a link to his Twitter status and gave us another pen. So we've got this pen, silver gold kind of a pen. And Q writes, we hear his sources are very credible. Q. All right, so we have the Mont Blanc pen in the background, and we have a new pen here. And people have been trying to figure out what that reflection is all about. Note, the file name is img45exe. I suspect this has something to do with an executive order that's coming out. Q has said for a long time, follow the pen. Some people have tried to figure out, hey, is that Trump in that reflection there? The problem with this particular image is that the president would actually have to be standing sideways due to the orientation of the pen. So I don't think that's what it is. I did a little stretch of that image, and this is what I came up with. There's some skin tone in there, and there's some yellow and some blue. I don't know that there is a reflection of a person. It probably is. Can't really make out much of it. One of the Anons did this. And thought maybe it is the president signing executive order with the gold drapes in the background. Possibility. I am not sure. This is a screenshot of all 7 pens that have been dropped so far by Q. We had a first one on December 12th of 2017, another one about a month later on January 6th, when the president was at Camp David. Another one on January 24th, 2018, another one on May 10th, another one on May 19th that has an executive order. Actually, both of those have executive orders underneath them. We had one about 2 months ago on January 5th with a watch, and that was Follow the Watch. And then we have this one from March 6th. So those are the pens that Q has posted so far. David Wilmer posted a graphic showing U.S. Attorney Huber's meeting with William Barr this week. And the related place on Q's countdown. This is a screenshot of that post from Q. that has the minus 30, minus 45, minus 60, and 90 in brackets, the countdown. Barr meets with U.S. Attorney Huber and the Inspector General Mike Horowitz, and then the OIG report comes out. So Q reposted a link to that Twitter status and said, "Keep the calendar up to date, Patriot. Check off and log future proofs past Q." Okay. Senator Richard Blumenthal was shocked when he found out that Homeland Security was reportedly building secret dossiers on journalists and immigration lawyers, people traveling with the caravans that are coming up from Central America. He posted a link to his tweet and said, "A glimpse of something much bigger to come. Actions have consequences. Remember, it goes both ways. Nobody is safe. Leak was plugged. Q." So Q has been telling us for a while that FISA goes both ways. The Obama administration illegally spied on the president and his team. I believe the president is surveilling a lot of these people through legal means. This information came out through a leak, and Q said the leak was plugged. Nobody is safe. This is the next post from Q. There is an old drop from November 7th when Q said, after the election, we got what we needed. The Senate means everything. And Q had indicated that a lot of the investigations that began in the House would be moving to the Senate. And that's the text here, House to the Senate, Q. It's a link to a scribd document. That document is a letter from Senate Judiciary Chair Lindsey Graham requesting all documents and communications shared with the intelligence Gang of Eight regarding the Russia investigation and all documents related to the Carter Page FISA application. He wants them delivered to him by March 21st. That is coming up here in about, 13 days? So we are getting down to showtime here. It's coming pretty quickly. Q posted this. It is a picture of a man in India, and his sign says MIGA, M-I-G-A, Make India Great Again, and MAGA. And Q wrote, "We stand together in this fight. Where we go one, we go all." Q. Q then posted this, parts 3 through 9 coming soon. Q. There's a link to a Bing search result. It is a search on Facebook. And there's all these different articles about Facebook taking action against anti-vaccine content. Facebook announcing that it's going to revamp its business strategies and try to make the platform more privacy-oriented. So nothing to see here, but Facebook is big time, and Mark Zuckerberg are in a lot of trouble. This last part is a long post by an Anon that Q commented on. And Anon did a deep dig into Vault 7, the public release by WikiLeaks of the CIA spy tools. I'm just going to break this into sections and explain part by part what this is all about. The Anon says, "I'm kecking out right now. I'm pretty sure I found something. Rip me apart if I'm wrong, though. So many shills on here. You're missing crumbs. Look here, not here." Responding to post 2996, Q says, "How is it possible for a supposed non-government entity? How is it possible that Facebook tracks data even when the app is deleted?" In post 2993 from March 7th, Q is calling out Snowden. "So I use my filter to find posts related to WikiLeaks. Q's post from July 31 of 2018 is a screenshot of the WikiLeaks Vault 7, released on March 7th. Sounds confusing. Just trying to show you my thought process, so stay with me. It makes sense." And he's got a quote from an article about the WikiLeaks Vault 7, and just going to read this section here. "Unlike bullets, bombs, or missiles, most CIA malware is designed to live for days or even years after it has reached its target. CIA malware does not explode on impact, but rather permanently infests its target. In order to infect the target's device, copies of the malware must be placed on the target's devices, giving physical possession of the malware to the target. To exfiltrate data back to the CIA or to await further instructions, the malware must communicate with CIA command and control systems placed on the internet-connected servers. But such servers are typically not approved to hold classified information." So the CIA command and control systems are also made unclassified. Okay, this is a quote from the Vault 7 article. And then he says, links below that direct you to user forums on how to not leave a digital fingerprint that can be associated with the CIA and how to construct an imitation fingerprint. Using Facebook as their fingerprint, they're able to install malware on people's phones, tablets, and computers, which relay all the data back to a central user using the Hive program. If you understood that, I am proud of you. I had to do a lot of research and broke this all down section by section. So I went to an article about the WikiLeaks Vault 7. I've looked at this a number of times, and every time I read it, I learn a little bit more. So the CIA lost control of the majority of its hacking tools and malware, viruses, Trojans, weaponized zero-day exploits, because they didn't bother to classify any of that software, and it just got out into the hands of hackers and rogue nations. So that's part of the problem with the CIA's hacking tools, is they never really attempted to keep them secret. The Anon did a search of WikiLeaks, found this post, Vault 7, that was released on March 7. This is a post where Q calls out Snowden. And so the Anon is wondering, why did Q call out Snowden? What does that have to do with the post about Facebook and the CIA using this to track people? Here is the post that the Anon referenced. There's no way to turn off, even through app deletion, their ability to extract info. How is that possible for a supposed non-government entity? All right. This is a screenshot from the article, and I took about 3 or 4 of these. I'm just going to give summaries. CIA has lost control of its global spy tool arsenal. Year 0 is a report that covers the scope of the CIA's malware and hacking capabilities. The CIA competes with the NSA for preeminence and for budget. The CIA has created a massive malware and hacking division and has virtually no congressional oversight. Does the CIA even have legal authority to do what it is currently doing? That's just kind of a summary of these paragraphs. Then this is the next section. CIA malware and hacking tools are developed by the Engineering and Development Group. One program, Weeping Angel, infiltrates Samsung TVs and has a fake off mode feature that records voice while the users think the device is inactive. Recordings are then sent back to the CIA server. As of October 2014, the CIA was looking into infecting vehicle control systems, which this article notes could be used to pull off assassinations. Down at the bottom, the CIA's mobile development branch develops malware for smartphones to record from microphones and cameras and to collect audio and text communications and send those back to the server. Okay, next section. CIA malware bypasses encrypted messaging services like WhatsApp, Signal, and Telegram. It actually gets into the hardware and it picks up the information before it is encrypted. So these encryption programs do not effectively prevent the CIA from picking up your communications. The next section down, the CIA has developed a wide array of hacking tools to infiltrate all devices, operating systems, and even networks that are not connected to the internet. They do that by spy insertion, putting in USB drives into computers, using DVDs and CD drives in different devices. Okay, last one down. The CIA is required to report vulnerabilities that they know of to software companies so they can create patches and they can prevent people from being vulnerable to exploitation by hackers. The CIA actually uses those vulnerabilities, they exploit them, so they have not reported them to software companies. By doing that, they've allowed bad actors the same access they have to our software. And has been a big complaint from companies like Microsoft. CIA has not really helped that much in identifying vulnerabilities in software, and this because the CIA has just been exploiting them. Okay, last year, Q reported that the president's Twitter account was hacked by the CIA. This is an interesting little sentence from this article. As an example, specific CIA malware revealed in 0 Year is able to penetrate, infest, and control both the Android phone and iPhone software that runs or has run presidential Twitter accounts. CIA attacks this software by using undisclosed security vulnerabilities, 0 days, possessed by the CIA. So that is interesting to me because Q, three-letter agency, embedded tracking up channel into POTUS Twitter to specifically target through specialized geo and send his location. We anticipated this. See post a few hours ago. It has begun, perhaps more posts to follow as expected imminent departure, Q. Then an Anon wrote, let's be clear, you're telling us that POTUS is currently under attack by our own intelligence agencies. And Q responded, let's be real clear. The CIA just attacked the commander-in-chief, which was immediately detected by the NSA military intelligence and alerted to POTUS. Okay, so people have kind of thought this was a little bit flaky when Q posted it, but this article on Vault 7 says no, the CIA actually has the ability to do that. In this section, because classifying its spy tools would expose operators to risk of prosecution, the CIA's surveillance malware is not classified or patented, which makes these programs very easy to pirate and sell, and some of them are worth millions of dollars. The CIA basically didn't want to expose their operators to the legal risk of prosecution, so most of the stuff is not classified. The Anon, his conversation again picks up here with this mention of fires. Over the last, and this is a discussion of how a lot of agencies, intelligence agencies, are starting to use military jargon to describe software injection and infiltration. Over the last decade, U.S. hacking operations have been increasingly dressed up in military jargon to tap into Department of Defense funding streams. For instance, attempted malware injections, commercial jargon, or implant drops, which is the NSA's version of that, are being called fires as if a weapon is being fired. However, the analogy is questionable. Unlike bullets, bombs, or missiles, most CIA malware is designed to live for days or even years after it has reached its target. CIA malware does not explode on impact, but rather permanently infests its target. In order to infect a target's device, copies of the malware must be placed on the target's device, giving physical possession of the malware to the target. To exfiltrate the data back to the CIA, or to wait further instructions, malware has to communicate with the CIA command and control system placed on the internet connected servers. But because such servers are typically not approved to hold classified information, CIA command and control systems are also made unclassified. And that goes back to what we said earlier. CIA makes their malware unclassified. Their servers are also unclassified. So these things can be hacked if they're not under a classified system. In this section, it explains how CIA operators are instructed to avoid detection and, in some cases, implicate foreign actors or other entities like Facebook by leaving behind false digital fingerprints. That is done with a number of programs, including Umbrage, Fine Dining, Improvise, and Hive. These are all programs that allow the CIA and whoever uses them to evade detection. We're going to go back to the Anon's comments here. I suggest all Anons who've given up life to research this, like me, should read this document to its completion. I noticed an enormous amount of comparisons between packets of data and bombs. Don't know why, probably just autistic. I looked back at the QMAP, and on March 5th, 2019, an Anon posted how London police called them bombs, not suspicious packages. Q responds in post 2974 with fire. I went to Vault 7 projects, searched for fire, and voila. Angel Fire is an implant comprised of 5 components: Solar Time, Wolf Creek, Keystone, which was previously called Magic Wand, Bad MFs, and the Windows Transitory File System. Keystone, keck. Keystone is a part of the Wolf Creek implant and responsible for starting malicious user applications. Loaded implants never touched a file system, so there's very little forensic evidence that the process was ever ran. This makes Q post number 381 much easier to understand. We won't telegraph our moves to the enemy. We will, however, light a fire to flush them out. Q. Q is saying that they're using the angel fire to predict the deep state's moves without being detected. In the user files, it says a key must be used to open Magic Wand. That was the old name of the program. It's now called Keystone. In Q post number 270, he says Admiral Rogers and NSA, WW, Wizards and Warlocks, plus POTUS and the U.S. military apply the Keystone. Paint the picture. In post number 167, Q says POTUS open the door of all doors. Expand your thinking. What is the Keystone? Now, this could be confirmation bias. I actually think it is. Based off what I've read just now, we can infer that Q is saying Trump gave Admiral Rogers permission to use Keystone and activate malware in order to collect data on the deep state. Furthermore, who uses a magic wand? A wizard. Wizards and Warlocks. I put up some of the posts that the Anon referenced here and just kind of walk through some of this. In the article that I was showing you earlier, this talks about how Angel Fire is set up, and it's 5 components. Keystone component launches other Angel Fire applications. It's designed to leave minimal forensic evidence. Since Keystone implant codes are loaded directly into the memory and they're never touched by the file system, the intent here was to ensure that the process created by Angel Fire apps don't look out of the ordinary. Another Q post, we don't telegraph our moves to the enemy. We will, however, light a fire to flush them out. This is a post from Q, December of 2017. Admiral Rogers, no such agency. Wizards and Warlocks, WW plus. POTUS, military equals, apply the Keystone, paint the picture. Wizards and Warlocks. In a recent question and answer, someone said, who are the Wizards and Warlocks? And Q said, Guardians of Intelligence. Well, if you look through the Wizards and Warlocks posts, if you just search for them, you can find references to the no such agency, the NSA, and specifically the Q group. I believe the Wizards and Warlocks is just an inside term that they use for the people who have access to all the intelligence at the NSA. POTUS open the door of all doors, expand your thinking. What is a Keystone? So Q responded to the Anon, did not confirm his theory, but he said, something you should explore further. Impressive, most impressive, Q. And now we are going to transition to something a bit different. Since the book came out about Q, not my book, and I'm not involved in that book, there's been a lot of debate over those who accept donations, people who sell books, who sell t-shirts, make money, as part of the Q movement. Some people believe it is wrong to make money off the Q movement. Others believe it's fine. There wouldn't even be a debate were it not for Q's post from last April warning us to be aware of the motives of the people we follow. This is a Q post from April 29th. Be careful who you are following. Some are profiting off this movement. Some are building a big following off this movement, only then to retreat and go mainstream. Patriots make sacrifices, some the ultimate sacrifice. Patriots are selfless. Do they ask for monthly payments to remain patriots? Think logically. To some, it's only about the money. Those who would seek personal gain at the expense of others in this movement has an agenda. You decide. This is not a game. The only profit we should all be striving for is true freedom. God bless you all. Q. So some people have taken this message simply as a prohibition that no one should be making any money, not receiving donations, not selling anything at all if you're connected to Q, period, end of story. Well, the problem is this isn't the only thing Q said on that subject. If you want to know the truth, you actually have to go through and read a whole bunch more posts, because there's a specific reason why Q posted this message. There's a specific person Q is targeting over a specific issue. The post, be careful who you're following, was a warning about Jerome Corsi. About a year ago, Corsi was probably the largest, most popular of all the Q decoders on YouTube. A lot of people were following him. I was listening to his decodes. Most of us were. But Corsi had an agenda, and Q needed to point that out. Unknown to most of us, Corsi was working with InfoWars, and they were planning to discredit Q and then bring Q's followers onto their platform, InfoWars platform. Serial Brain 2 exposed that plot in his article, The Long and Secret InfoWars Against Q, which Q posted on the 8chan board. The original post by Serial Brain on Reddit has been deleted. It was part of one of the Cube threads that got dumped. But you can find an archived version of that if you just search for The Long and Secret InfoWars Against Q. This is on disclosurenews.it, and you're looking for this article. It's long. There's a lot of videos, a lot of explanation about how Alex Jones and Roger Stone attempted to downgrade and dismiss Q. Even though Corsi was a leader in the Q movement, he was actually working with InfoWars. So, a little more backstory. In September of last year, when Jack Posobiec attempted to prove Q was a phony, another discussion ensued about the motives of Jerome Corsi and Alex Jones and InfoWars. And this anon said, their business model is based on a deep state's existence. If there is no deep state, there is no Alex Jones. Some people don't care who wins or loses as long as they're making money. It's a good observation, actually. This anon said AJ is controlled opposition. They leak enough truth to draw the attention of truth seekers, then divert them away from anything actually damaging. If Alex Jones and his friends were ever an actual threat to the cabal, he would have been gone long ago. The discussion about money and donations and Patreon accounts became personal when an anon last year accused me of being essentially a mercenary after Roseanne Barr began retweeting my Q videos. So the anon posted this on the board. He was talking about my PayPal account, my Patreon, support me. Someone should tell Roseanne she's promoting a patriot. And that's patriot with a Y. This anon responded, if Roseanne talks about Q on her show, is she a patriot, P-A-Y, patriot? This anon responded, I don't think it would be fair to say that a journalist can't make money while covering Q, but that's the difference. A journalist covering Q isn't necessarily usurping Q. The patriots in question were trying to usurp Q. This video explains what happened very well. It certainly cleared my head about it all. And Q reposted that anon's post, confirming that he had not placed a prohibition on making money. His main concern was about people attempting to subvert the movement. After Q posted about be careful who you are following, some are attempting to make money, Q wrote, there was no attempt to divide. There was, however, a strategic move to reveal, be careful who you follow. Incorrect message was translated past autists. Correction was made. No names were mentioned. They revealed themselves. Fake and false, incorrect decodes were being given, but they were removed and resolved. Fake and false claims of an unknown allowed access to classified sealed indictments. That was removed and resolved. Q wrote, do not fall victim to con artists. Use logic, stay on point. And that was actually Q Plus who posted that. So in this message, Q explained that they were specifically targeting certain individuals who were providing false decodes and making false claims about sealed indictments, and Q wanted to deal with that individual. Q explains it even more in this post from May 12th. They attempted to infiltrate the movement, repackage and rebrand it as their own profit vehicle, destroy through misinformation. They wanted to absorb the confused people, reroute traffic to other platforms. Action was needed. 2 is in brackets. There's 2 actions that Q took. They needed to prevent false decodes and information, and they needed to kill a targeted infection prior to expansion of the movement. Simple, non-direct statements were made. Be careful who you follow. Some are profiting off this movement. Message sent, message received. Those who were guilty immediately reacted predictably. Timetable was accelerated, misinformation and attack. They were exposed. They attempted to divide. We responded. House cleaning, heal, core. Important to clean prior to next events. Where we go one, we go all. Time to move on, Q. So again, Q here explains that he needed to deal with specific problems that were being caused by certain people, that they have been dealt with, they were exposed, they exposed themselves, and that this was not a general message to the entire movement that no one should be, receiving donations or making money. That statement was intended to trigger Jerome Corsi to attack Q and expose himself, and that's exactly what he did. So Q has indicated this is in the past, it is not a current problem, it's time to move on, and this post was 10 months ago. Q has not brought this up since then. That whole discussion was brought up by Q to deal with a couple of individuals who had a specific agenda. All right, that is all I have for this update. Love you all. Take care. I will catch you on the next broadcast. So be encouraged, Patriots. Keep us in prayer. Keep Q and the team in prayer. Keep the president in prayer. Thank you for your support. Thank you for sharing this on social media. That is all I have for you on this update. This is Paramedic signing off. I will catch you on the next broadcast.